Welcome to the Dice Tower, a series of video reviews about board and card games. Here are your hosts, Tom Vasel and Sam Healy.
Hey folks, welcome to Miami Dice. I'm Tom Vasel.
I'm Z Garcia.
And I'm Sam Healy.
Today we're going to take a look back. We have put Pillars of the Earth on like 3 of our top 10 lists recently. And our top 10 worker placements. I forget what else we put it in, but it was
It's been in a few.
It's been in a few.
TV book.
Oh yeah.
Licensed games, yes.
Right. So because of that, I looked and I actually had done, when this came out, I did a written review of it. So we thought we would do a video review of it to show you the game and so you can see if the game is worth hunting down. Because I believe it's out of print at this point, right? Maybe you can find it, but you should find it. So let's show you how the game plays. At the beginning of the game, each player is going to get some master builders of their colors, and those master builders are going to be thrown into the bag. Now, you may occasionally see orange and white pieces while I'm doing it. Those pieces are actually part of an expansion. The base game here is just for 4 players. Players are also going to get a pile of workers of their color. These workers, there's one guy who's a little bit bigger than the rest, and that guy's worth 5 workers. And then players are going to get 3 craftsmen, a mortar mixer, a stone cutter, and a woodworker. Now, each round of the game is played very similarly. Some new cards are placed in different spots on the board. There's an event card up here, and the event cards keep track of basically how many rounds are in the game. At the beginning of each game, you are going to shuffle these 9 different resource cards, and you're only going to turn over 7 of them. So not all 9 resource cards are going to come out each turn. So here, for example, there's 2 cards for the quarry, 3 for the forest, and 2 for the gravel pit. You're also going to turn over 2 more craftsmen from a deck that has craftsmen that are numbered so that they get better as time goes by. In turn order, each player is going to decide either they're going to take one of these cards here. So for example, let's say I want to take this forest card. I have to put 9 workers in the forest. So I go over here to the forest and I put 9 workers in the forest, my 5 and 4 small guys, and I take that card, and then no one else can send 9 workers to the forest. Maybe later on someone will send 6 workers. So let's say it comes around to my next turn and there's the 3 workers in the forest, but that's been taken by somebody else. So all I have left are 3 workers, so I'm kind of in trouble. I can take one of these craftsmen, but I'm going to have to buy it. Now, unfortunately, players start with money. This is the money track here at the bottom of the board. You can see the different pieces here are started on the different amounts of money that you have. So money track, you can track your money, how much you have during the game. So I could buy one of these, and also all my leftover workers get sent to the wool mill. So to the wool mill you go. And this continues till either all the cards are gone or till everybody has run out of workers and they decide that that part of the round is over. Then you're going to go with these master builders. Whoever the first player is going to draw a master builder out of the bag. Now they have the opportunity to, once per game, to take the master worker that they pulled out of the bag and put it back in. So I pull yellow, I don't want to pull yellow, and they put it back in. But you can only do that once. So let's say they pull yellow, and so they say, okay, yellow, you get to put this master worker on the board. But we're going to look at this little ring down here. Basically what happens is yellow has to pay 7 gold to put their worker out on the board. If yellow doesn't have 7 gold or thinks that's expensive, which it is, instead of doing that, we move the marker down to 6 gold and put this yellow piece here. And then so the next piece we draw is red. Red doesn't want to pay 6, so we move it here. The next one we draw is blue. Blue does pay the 5, and he puts his worker on the board, but we still move this down. And we keep doing this until eventually it's free for everybody that you pull from the bag. After everyone who's been pulled from the bag has gone, these pieces are then put on the board in order, so yellow would go, and then red would go. At that point, then, we'll resolve the board in order at a time. So first we have the spot up here. We have the event card, and These event cards can be positive or negative. So let's see what this event says. Beginning with the starter player, remove one of your master builders from the board. Oh, what a terrible thing that is. That's a negative event. Sometimes it's positive and helps everybody. If somebody has placed a master builder in the Archbishop's office, they could be protected from that negative event. Or, if they would prefer not to be protected from that negative event, they can take a free resource of their choice. Then we get down to the wood mill. For every worker that you sent there, you get some gold, which is good because we need gold. When you go to the Kingsbridge Priory, the people who've placed their workers here are going to get 2 and 1 victory point respectively. Then we go over here to the King's Bridge, and here you get these privilege cards. Now there will be 2 different privilege cards, so whoever goes to each of these spots gets them. Sometimes these privilege cards are permanent, like for example Tom Builder, who supervised the quarry. Every round I get an additional stone, so I get 1 stone for free every round. Here, this is a one-time use card, so I can buy or sell any number of resources at market prices, so I can save that card until I use it. So that's what those do. Then we're going to go down here to the board, and all those cards that you took earlier for the number of workers, so I took that 9 fars, that gives me 4 wood. So everybody takes the resources and takes their workers back from the different spots. Then we head over here to the King's Court, where the king evilly has decided to tax everybody. So we roll a die to see how much money everybody has to pay in taxes. If you put a dude here, you don't have to worry about paying taxes. If you put it in the first spot here, you also get 1 metal resource, which is a very rare resource. Then we move up here to the Shiring. There's some more craftsmen here. Earlier in the game, in the round, you had to buy them. Here, if you place a worker on these spots, you get them for free, a master builder on those spots. Up here at the Shiring Castle, if you place a master builder there, you get 2 extra neutral workers that you can use next round. If you go here to the market, you can buy and sell resources. So if you need some extra resource, that's a place to go. And then we go to the Cathedral and we get victory points. To get victory points, players are going to take a look at the craftsmen that they have, and they can trade in resources for victory points. So for example, Mortar Mixer lets you trade in 3 of the sand cubes for 1 victory point, and you can do it 3 times. These aren't really that good, and as time goes by, you are going to get better ones. So for example, maybe later on I'll get a Sculptor who lets me trade 1 stone for 2 victory points. I can only do that once, but that's still better than what I have now. Or this Carpenter who lets me trade in 1 wood cube 5 times for 1 victory point. All the way up to the end, where they get really good. The Bellmaker lets you trade in one of those precious metal cubes. Do that twice for 4 victory points. There's Gardener who lets me trade 1 of each for 5 victory points. The Organ Builder who lets me trade 1 wood and 1 metal for 6 victory points. You can only have 5 of these in front of you at any time. And if you notice, the Mortar Mixer, Woodworker, and Stonecutter here have exclamation points, which means if you cover them up, if you replace them, you will have a negative effect. If you have a Mortar Mixer, if you cover him up, then no longer will your Masons provide you. Like if I play as Mason, he won't provide me points if I don't have a Mortar Mixer. If I cover up the Woodworker, I can no longer buy wood at the market, and if I cover up the Stonecutter, I can no longer sell stone at the market. So this will continue on as players do that, and at the end of each round, you will place 1 piece of the Cathedral on the board to show that the round is over. And as time goes by, each round of the game, you will place another piece, and when the final piece is placed here, the game is over. And whoever has the most victory points at that time is the winner of the game. All right. Well, I say this every time I talk about the game, but I have not yet read the book, The Pillars of the Earth. So I cannot compare the game to the book at all. I don't think you have.
I've not read it either. No.
I know there was also an HBO series on Pillars of the Earth. I haven't seen that
I
either.
believe so. And the great thing is that you don't have to read the book.
Yeah, that's the thing. So we're speaking from somebody who doesn't know anything, and I still thought there was a lot of theme.
Yes.
I think that the theme is a really cool one. You're building a cathedral. You actually see the cathedral being built, which is a really cool round mechanism. Right?
Highly superfluous cathedral being built in the center, letting you know, hey, you have a round left because there's a wooden piece missing.
But that adds to the theme.
It adds to the visual appeal, sure.
Yeah, it adds to the visual. I'm kind of in between Tom and Z here. It is superfluous. I see that. It's not unnecessary. It could
Well,
be.
so is everything in the game. It could just have paper that we're pushing around, little small slips of paper.
Okay, you've gone too far, sir.
Well, you're right. This is an extreme case.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just saying. I'm half a dozen of one, 6 of the other, as far as that's concerned.
I mean, at the end of the day, it does not hurt the game.
No,
so
absolutely not. But it's also
Doesn't really
not
matter.
necessary. The same thing could have been accomplished by a round track with a token.
Sure.
But I mean, it does look cooler.
It does.
All right. One of the things that this game does that I don't believe I've seen almost any other game is the workers being pulled from the bag. That's the thing I haven't seen in any other worker placement
Right.
game, and where you pull them from a bag, and the people who go first have to pay the higher amounts to be able to place their workers, and the people who go last, they have to go last, but they don't have to pay anything.
Right.
And so you almost hope that your people are pulled.
Somewhere
Well, it
in the
depends.
in
It
the middle.
depends.
Depends
That's
what
what's
part of the
interesting.
game it is.
Right. That's what's interesting. It depends when you want to go, and you're always, you're hoping you're maybe late this turn because you have no money, but you may sometimes want to go early because you do have the money and you need that spot.
Right.
So I think that's interesting. It's a great mechanic, like
Yeah.
you said, and not something that's been used. And it just feels good to do that, pulling it out. And then if you're the round's leader, you have the option to chuck one back in one time.
And sometimes you throw your own back in.
Right.
Sometimes you throw, oh yeah, Z, you're not going.
Not going,
first.
right? Yeah, I think the game also looks gorgeous. Besides the cathedral, the artwork is
Oh, it's
just
one of the best
stunning.
boards ever.
That's where I was. That's where I was about to be. That's where I was about to head next, as far as the aesthetic draw that this game has is
Right.
overwhelming. I mean, it's such a pretty board, and this is one of those boards where you can, if you get kind of close to it, and there's a little. Almost like Easter eggs going on from
Sure.
place to place. And
Well, it's got that. It's Michael Menzel, so he always tends to do that with the tiny little.
Best board artist there is.
Absolutely, and yeah, it's just stunning looking, and everything on the board makes thematic sense. It
Oh, that's
helps
a good
you-
thing. You're right.
It helps you learn the game because hey, in the forest, put all the wood cubes there. Quarry, put all the stone cubes there.
In fact, I'm going to go even farther than that. I'm going to say this is the exact perfect combination of form and function on the game board. Because sometimes game boards, they get too fancy and you can't figure out where you're supposed to put pieces.
Right.
And then we have the opposite extreme where there's big, ugly circles. This is where you put your stuff. It's so obvious and thematic.
Absolutely.
Now, what I like best, I think, about this, not pulling the workers from the bag, but I like the fact that no matter where you send your workers, it seems like there's always interesting things to do.
Right.
And the stuff that they go do is so different. There's the whole, here I'm getting resources, here I'm getting a cool card, here I'm buying and trading, here, I get to some extra workers. I felt like, even if someone else went first and you took the cool stuff that I wanted, I hate you for that, but there was still something cool I could do.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, the resource management for me is probably my favorite part. And I'm not a huge resource management guy. Not when it gets
He's the
heavy.
opposite of
Okay.
that, actually.
Not when it gets when it becomes too many steps. I have to go from one thing through 7 steps just to get now a polished rock instead of just a rock, okay? This game does it right for me. You have a worker, he takes this, makes that. Boom.
Yeah.
Now you gotta hire the guy, you have to go get the stuff, but the steps are obvious. The game is easy to understand and grok because the steps are obvious. This guy cuts wood. This guy fixes up the stones, whatever, right? I like that. The game is, and you can have your workers out in front of you. It just makes sense, hence making it one of my favorite of the worker placement games,
All right. So, final opinion from me: 2 Spires Up. Very much a good game. I think you should hunt it down. It plays really well with 2 to 4 players. I like it best with a full complement, but it plays well with 3. Did this make your top 3-player game list? Because you put it on
I
everything.
don't believe so.
But it does play well with 3, and it has some interesting things, and every game will feel a little bit different. There's an expansion, which we might talk about later, I don't know, that I think is very worthwhile. An excellent expansion, adds more options and things. But even without that, it's a straight-up good game.
Cool. I'm going to go ahead and give it 2 blacksmith hammers up. Tink tink. I've called it the patriarch of worker placement games. I think for me, it's what started it all, and it just holds that special place in my heart of hearts. Because so there y'all.
To me, this is one of my favorite games in any genre, but especially in the worker placement genre. So I have to go with 2 Massive Timbers Up.
All right. Anyway, that's the Pillars of the Earth. This has been Miami Dice. We'll see you guys next time.
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. You can also find other great shows at Dicetowernetwork.com. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc., where you can find great games for great prices. Cool stuff in stock. Check them out at CoolStuffInc.com.